Okay, apologize for any background noise. I'm out and about today. It was done early. And let's show this new setup I've been showing. This is another adaptation on it. And let's go look at the same old boring settings that I keep showing over and over again, video by video, never changing, always the same. 88 on the grid Renko. And off to the grid MA alerts, same old as every video that I keep doing. 9 2.7. You got the vertical drawing tools you can toggle on and off. You got alerts, and you have outputs, so you can use the indicator with Bloodhound, Blackbird, Algo Studio Pro, Markers Plus, and so on. So again, exact same settings I've shown in about every single video where I've talked about the Grid MA and Grid MA alert. So yep, the same old boring settings, nothing changes. It works very well throughout the week. I don't need settings that are perfect. I just need settings that are good enough. And then you lean on the math of, hey, when I get into a trade, so if I get into a trade and I risk flat spot, last flat spot, plus a few ticks, when I get to 1-to-1, I can, if I'm trading to multiples of threes, I can take one off and let two run, or I can leave all three on. Again, if I get into a trade, flat spot plus a few ticks is my risk. When I get to 1-to-1, I can move stop to break, or I can take some off. That's the key. Then move to break even plus, and that you get blipped out, and you'd be waiting on a new trade setup. Here, it's long, took off. Here was a signal, flat spot plus a few ticks. When it got to 1-to-1, take some off, let the rest run, your stop go to break even plus. Now that's just a suggestion. You can set up your trail stop management however you want. I mean, you can leave your stop up here, or what you can do if you're doing multiple quantity entries. Let's say you get in a 3 lot and you take off one contract at the 1-to-1, you can do the math and know, hey, where should my stop go to? So what I've gained on one, but I'm holding on two, if it comes back, where would I be at break even plus? Or you just take your stop right down to the actual entry point, plus a few ticks. So if it kicks back, you make money on those remaining two contracts, or you just leave your stop in place until you get to 2-to-1 or greater. So when you hit 2-to-1, then you can bleed out any risk if you're more into a passive management style. All up to you. You can use Algo Studio Plus connected to the indicator because we have outputs. You can use Bloodhound, Blackbird, or any other of those tools like Markers Plus. This one in ran for you. This one in ran for you. This one, flat spot plus a few ticks from entry. Got a little excursion. Got easily to your 1-to-1 and then your trade management accordingly. So this one pulled back. If you went to break even plus, you get blipped out on the remaining two. So you made money on one contract and very small amount on the two, and that concludes that trade. If you do the split the difference, which is my way that I prefer, if I trade in clusters of 3 and I get to my 1-to-1, I can take one contract off, and then the remainder of my two contracts can have the stop move to the point that if the market comes down and if it hits me, I didn't make anything on the trade, I didn't lose anything on the trade. It's truly like a scratch trade, and so on. Another way to do it is on the first time you get to 1-to-1, take out a portion of your trade. When you get to 2-to-1, take your stop to break even plus and then let it run. That's another way to do it. Some traders, what they do is they'll get in multiple positions, and you can go over a week's time and just visually look like, hey, when I get in, what's the typical excursion I get on one of these type of signals when when it reverses on me right away. And you can adapt to that. Or, oh, thank you. Or you can just get in and leave it till the next flip or till you see counter evidence. A lot of times what I do when I get into these trades, so let's say I'm long right here. I get a market order fill, I get the dot, I hear the alert, I jump in on a manual trade with a Ninja Trader's ATM setup. Basically says, okay, I'm in. Here's my stop. Here's a target out 5-1. Just a hard target. So there's something out there. That way, if I lose data feed, I got a stop in place and I got a hard target. If I don't lose data feed, everything's working fine, and I'm getting to the 1-1, and let's say I'm trading in units of 3. On the 1-1, I can take some of the trade off. And then usually what I'll do a lot of times is I'll start watching the market, and as I see it lift, if it's continue lift, and then I get any sort of a down bar like that, and when I'm in that initial phase part of the trade, I will at least half the risk. I'll take out half the risk. Then if I see it start advancing again where it clears above the prior pivot, and then I get another down bar, as long as I stay cyan dots, that's kind of what I'm more focused on than what price is doing. Then at that point, when it's already getting close to 2-1, I don't need to have any risk on. I can go to break even plus. Then I'm just watching. And what I'm watching for is if I get one of these, where I get the grid cloud to get a close of both lines below the grid MA alerts indicator. If I have that, I'll get out instead of waiting for the counter signal. So if I've been long and haven't had any stop outs on any pullbacks, and whatever I took out initially, I have some remainders on. At that point, I see that I just flatten the trade. That's more than adequate. Or if I'm on any sort of trade and it rips hard right away and I get to about 5-1, that's a really good trade. So then I'm going to trade it really tight. So if I even get one pullback bar when I'm up around 5-1, if I haven't flipped out already, I would just flatten. I don't care what it does at that point. I want to hold that predominance of that, of that gain. And then sometimes you get in trades and they're just very methodical and they just keep working away. Flat spots when you're in trades or areas where you pay more attention, as long as these grid MA alerts dots keep proceeding in your trade direction, it's not as important. But the flat spots are letting you know there's some deceleration to the momentum. And then you can watch the cloud too. If the cloud stays red and you're in short, you're fine. You start seeing a cross and you're starting to get some gap between the green and your short, that's an area you can get out instead of waiting for a counter signal. So anyhow, there's all different ways you can handle money management, and it's all definitely relative to the time frame you're on. So the 88 grid Renko that I keep showing on every single one of these grid MA related, grid MA alerts related charts with the exact same settings I continually show, 9.2.7, never any different. That's kind of how I analyze it, trade it. But my grid MA alerts is what I lean on. So when it's cyan, I can stay long. When it's Dodger blue, I can stay short, and so on. So anyhow, there you go. If you have any questions on this, let me know. But we had a short today after the 7:32 U.S. Central Time window where I typically trade. First signal was short, that worked. Next signal was long, that worked. Third signal short, that worked. Fourth signal is long, and if you're still taking trades at 2 in the afternoon-ish U.S. Central Time, go look at yourself in the mirror and say, what the heck am I doing? Why am I still trading? So we got the election tomorrow. Watch out for that evening hours trading. You can have a lot of wild movements in a very low volume environment, and that's where you can get bit. So I would say just stay out of that stuff. Wait till you get the cash session, and or if you're an EU session trader, you can trade the EU session. So there you go. The Grid MA alerts now has outputs, and that's the final version of that, and more good stuff on deck. If you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com. Talk to you all later.